Welcome to New York City Visions. I'm your host and fellow New Yorker. Hi, we're all New Yorkers for the next 52 minutes or so, and we're about to meet a New Yorker, a guy that probably, when he gets a call to be invited to a party, he may just be going, "Oh my God, I'm going to have to work." His name is Johnny Brennan, and if you follow Family Guy at all, and you look in the credits at the end of a lot of those programs, you'll find Johnny, because you're all alphabetical there after Mike Henry. You'll find Johnny Brennan's name. We're with Johnny Brennan, the Jerky Boys, or one of the Jerky Boys. Talk about the Jerky Boys, how that come about. And hi, John. And what is it like when you get a call for a party?
What do you say there, sizzlechest? What's up there, nutty? No, how's it going, man? Yeah, no, it's great. It's amazing, how strong it is, and even after all these years, it just seems to get stronger now with YouTube and all these younger generations finding out about it. It's just an amazing thing. And Family Guy, it was just a natural progression because Seth MacFarlane, creator of Family Guy, was a huge fan of mine as a kid. So he loved bringing my characters onto the Family Guy scene with Mort Goldman and Horace, the owner of the Drunken Clam, and I do a lot of other incidental characters, and I do a lot of the gay stuff on Family Guy. And one of my favorite episodes, as a matter of fact, is called Family Gay, where Peter turns gay for a little while, and I'm his partner, Scott. So it's a hilarious episode. But no,
oh, you're the partner.
Yes, I'm
the nine-way.
Yeah, I'm Scott. Yeah,
the nine-way. He always wanted a nine-way.
Yeah. But anyway, and we had a blast when Seth and I were reading that. He was in LA and I was in New York, and we were hysterical. We couldn't, we'd have problems getting through it because we had to make hugs and kisses, and we were kissing sounds, and it was really hilarious stuff. Very funny stuff.
Before we go, what about parties? You go to a party, you get a call to go to a party. Are you expected to do your voices? I mean, do people come up sort of like a psychiatrist or a doctor? I have a pain in my elbow. I mean, are you expected to kind of give voices, their favorite voices? What do you go through? Is that a problem? Or do you love it?
Sir, listen to me, you. Everybody's got problems, damn it. And it's not nice for you to be so damn influential like that and just throwing your weight around. We all have issues, you son of a bitch.
That, of course, is.
That's actually Sal Rosenberg. And, it's funny, when we were going with the Family Guy, what I did was I amped up the voice, and he's all hopped up on caffeine, and I sped it up a little bit. So Mort Goldman is Sal's long-lost cousin. But it's funny you say that because, at parties and things, people always come up to me, and they'll say, "Oh, Johnny, man, you." And what they will do, though, is they won't actually ask me to do lines. They'll actually start shooting lines out at me. They'll start shooting Frank Rizzo lines, or they'll shoot Mort Goldman, or they'll shoot Sal Rosenberg, and they'll just keep, and it's a blast. We go, as a matter of fact, I do it on my Twitter. On Twitter, I just basically go out there and have fun with the fans. I shoot out lines, and people will say, "Oh, that's Frank Rizzo from such and such," and they know every little detail. So you might want to just make note of that. That's Twitter, Jerky Boys Johnny at Twitter. Jerky Boys Johnny at Twitter.
I've tried Twitter. I mean, I'm on Facebook and all that. That's Facebook, I guess. We're all on Facebook. But Twitter, when I go in there, explain how you do Twitter. What do you do with Twitter? Folks, people that are Twitter...
They tweet.
People that are Twitter ignorant, how do you do it?
Well, you're talking to one of them. I'm Twitter ignorant. I'm just learning it myself. But it can't... What I use it for is absolute nonsense. Like, I'll go on there, and I'll shoot out a line from Sal from, let's say, Jerky Boys 2. And I'll just shoot the line out there, and the fun of it is people like to give me comebacks, and they tell me exactly what it is, and then they'll start shooting out Sal's lines or Frank's lines. So it's basically just a place to just go. What I use it for, I use it for a place to just go and have some fun, just have a little bit of fun throwing lines back and forth.
Right.
Yeah, that's how so I am pretty much Twitter, ignorant.
How did it come about? How did Jerky Boys come back? I kind of read your bio a little bit, but how did this happen? I mean, it happened, I guess, in the early mid '80s.
No,
all of a sudden, boom. What's the history of Jerky Boys?
It's actually very kind of cool that we're sitting here today. I was gonna do this interview at the Gotham Comedy Club, because that's my management is down there, Steve and Chris Mazzilli. So I was going to do it at the Gotham Comedy Club, but I said, you know what? This is even better. How cool to do it. We're double parked at a hydrant, I should say, and we're outside of pretty much where this all started. So I said, this is so much better. We're on 79th Street, right off 3rd Avenue. Down the block there is where it all started back in the mid-70s, mid-70s, 74, 75, 76. It started down at 180, right down there off 3rd Avenue and 79th Street. So we're sitting here just one block up, right outside the famous Belgravia, 124 East 79th Street, where I made the famous Brett Weir call. Get Brett Weir, I said. And that was made back in the early to mid-'80s. That was because Brett Weir was the superintendent here. And Brett Weir was a friend of mine who my father got that building for. My father helped him become the super here. So that would go on to become one of the most famous calls of any prank phone call ever. And launched the Jerky Boys into a Billboard magazine, the first time ever a comedy record hit #1 ever in Billboard magazine. So this is so cool to be here today to do this interview, because this is where it all started.
And this was just about on a lark, that kind of thing. You were just fooling around. You decided to do, and then you finished up, and you said what? What did you say to yourself at that point? This could be.
Well, remember, I was now. If you go down the block to 3rd Avenue and 79th. 180, it's right down there. I can see it from here. Right. That's when I was a kid, and that's when I was doing all of these voices and characters in that building down there when I was younger. Yeah. So you're talking 14, 15, 16. Then as I moved to Queens, I got a little older, and I would make phone calls because I said, how can I get these characters where people can enjoy them? And I had no idea how to do that. So I said, one day I was living out in Queens, and I said, I got a great idea. I said, if I saw my boom box, and right next to it I had the bylines because I was looking for a pickup truck at the time, and this is a long time ago, and I said, holy crap, this is how I can do it. I can use my characters to just get into these situations on the phone, and I'll just play the tapes from my brothers. And it was a very small family deal. I didn't make tapes to go out to the public. I just said, if my brothers are going to dig this. So on the weekend when we get together, I'll play the tapes from my brothers, and my father, my family, and they all got a kick out of it. Next thing, Kamal, who was part of the Jerky Boys on screen for Disney, he used to be a great bass player, phenomenal bass player, and he used to always hang around. He was younger than me. He was about 6-7 years younger than me. So he used to hang around with us when we were kids out in Queens, and he would say, Johnny, you got it. One night he was on the floor when he first heard the tapes, and he was rolling around pissing himself on the floor. And I thought he was being sarcastic and making fun. And then when he got up, his eyes were tearing. He couldn't stop laughing. And I said, you think that, Kamal, I said, you're for real? You think they're that good? And he's like, this is the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. So next thing you know, Kamal got his hands on my tapes, started making copies of the tapes, and Kamal was very influential in the music world. He had a lot of friends in bands. He started handing out tapes to friends in bands, and the rest is history. They all started handing it out. Before you know it, it was up to Boston. Howard Stern had it in New York. Howard Stern would say on the radio, if anybody knows who this guy is, I gotta find out who this guy is. It's the funniest. Howard Stern said it's the funniest thing I ever heard in my life. He said you can't drive a car and listen to this stuff. He said I'd never heard anything like it. So lo and behold, then people started coming up to me from college campuses and stuff and say, dude, your stuff is everywhere. The Jerky Boys, you're everywhere. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. And then when I heard Stern was like looking for the guy, and Mark Parento up in Boston, he was like, this is the funniest thing I ever heard in my life. That's when I said, I got to come out of the woodwork. I let my name get out there. I said, yeah, I'm the guy. I'm Frank Rizzo. And the cool part about it was everything I intertwined into the Jerky Boys, nobody else could claim that. There was a lot of guys that tried to claim that, no, that's me doing that. That's me. Yeah. And I said, okay, the Belgravia. I said, do you know where that call was placed to? Anyone who wanted to lie and say it was them, I said, who's Brett Weir? And nobody had answers, so everybody knew they had to fall by the wayside because they knew there's no way to trick anybody anymore, that Johnny Brennan's the guy who really did this. Because what I did was, like I said, I interwove all of these things that were in my life that only I knew. Brett Weir was my brother-in-law. See what I'm saying? Right. So when people were asked who were trying to claim that they were Frank Rizzo, well, say, who is Brett Weir? And they're like, I don't know. well, goodbye, you know. So that, you know, and that, we only had a few in the beginning. There was only like two or three people that said it was them until I came out of, you know, not hiding, but I came forward. Once I came forward, everybody was like, they took a walk.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a woman the other day, we were talking about coming, you know, people claiming to be you. There was a woman that came forward the other day for one reason or another and claims she is the woman who Elvis Presley was kissing in that French kiss sort of thing with his tongue out, and he's kind of got his tongue against her lips, and you don't see her face.
Right.
And this guy, photographer, was on following Presley for a while, doing photos. Oddly enough, the woman is in this iconic, you know the photo because we know the picture. He never bothered to get her name, which is a little strange.
Right.
But all of a sudden she's coming forward and claiming, and he's saying, oh yeah, well, she's the same person, the slight figure and all that, the slender figure. And I don't know if there's a setup and why he didn't get her name early on when the photo was first taken. But a lot of people will come forward. The point being, a lot of people will come forward if nobody's claiming.
Yeah, you know, I find the world is a pretty shallow place like that, and it's sad, you know, that there are still people out there still making believe, and that you know, they'll do my voices and stuff, and they're imposters, and they'll still try to get away with it. But the cool thing is, like when I came forward years ago, many years ago, a voice analysis is more accurate than a fingerprint. And when people heard my voice, they said, "Wow, that's amazing! This is, you know, we finally," and that's how I came and started to get famous with Walt Disney Pictures and with Atlantic Records, because they knew that this is the guy. Johnny Brennan's the guy.
What do you do with Walt Disney?
Walt Disney Pictures. The Jerky Boys, the movie.
Is the Jerky Boys Walt
the
Disney?
movie. Yep.
I wonder if Walt is spinning in his grave with something that's happened since he left.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a pretty adult considering Walt.
Yeah, but you know what? When you see it, the movie, it's a great.
If they've frozen him, he'll be back, you know.
Yeah, he'll be back to take my head off. No, but I'm sure he'd be a big fan because the stuff was great. The movie was a fantastic. It's got a great cult following, and it's just exactly what it was meant to be. It was just a spoof on the mafia, and for what we had, we only had a few weeks to get this thing going and put it together. And we weren't trying to make you know, Gone with the Wind. We were trying to make a goofy, you know, a mafia type comedy. And to this day, like I said, it's got a wonderful cult following. It's got a great following.
You know, Frank Rizzo was the mayor of Philadelphia. He was an ex-detective, tough guy, very conservative. I don't think he was the mayor when Patty Hearst. There was something happened with not Patty Hearst, but somebody was hiding in Philadelphia, and they wound up burning down the whole block. But I don't think Rizzo was the mayor. They wanted to burn him out.
I can tell you this.
Cook him out, but they wound up taking down the whole block. But Frank Rizzo, I don't think was the mayor.
I can tell you this funny story. Over these many decades, you know, doing this project, I've met a lot of people along the way. I believe I was in Philly when I was doing an autograph signing, and one of the kids, I'd say he was about a 25-year-old guy at the time, handed me an actual Frank Rizzo campaign button for your shirt, and it was an original Frank Rizzo campaign button. It was yellow, and it was old, so you could see it was the real deal. And he said, "I want to give you this. This is a real campaign button from Frank Rizzo." And I said, "Who's Frank Rizzo?" I had no clue at the time. I had no clue. But there's a lot of Frank Rizzos. But then he told me the story about Frank Rizzo being the mayor, and he's so much like your character that you do. And I said, "Well, I'm a New York tough guy." So I said, "It's just funny that there's this mayor in Philly, Frank Rizzo." And then he went on to tell me this story that it's exactly like my Frank Rizzo, because it's so funny. He says there was rioting going on in Philly, and he was at a black tie affair. Frank Rizzo, the mayor. He goes and gets a billy club and joins the police force, and now I don't know if this is folklore or if this is true, but that was the story, that he got a billy club, he went out and joined the police force and started breaking heads.